You know that feeling. You're hitting the gym maybe 5 times a week, meticulously tracking every single calorie.
Yeah, doing everything you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Like our listener, Sarah, she was around 205 pounds doing all that. Seems like, the recipe for progress, right?
You'd think so.
Except for Sarah, the scale just wouldn't budge. Her blood sugar was actually creeping up, stress was through the roof, and she felt hungry all the time. Okay, so what was going wrong there?
Well, what's really fascinating is that Sarah's experience isn't unusual at all. So many dedicated people find themselves in this really frustrating situation.
Following all the rules.
Right. Diligently following the usual advice, but seeing, well, 0 results. It makes you wonder, what's the missing link? What are we not seeing?
And for Sarah, it turned out the surprising culprit was sleep. Just sleep. She was averaging only about 5 hours a night.
Wow, 5 hours. That's not a lot.
Not at all. And here's a key takeaway right away. Don't underestimate sleep. After Sarah implemented a specific sleep protocol, and get this, without changing her diet at all, her fasting glucose normalized, those really intense cravings, gone. And she dropped 22 pounds in just 10 weeks.
22 pounds in 10 weeks just from fixing sleep. That's pretty remarkable.
Isn't it?
It really highlights a crucial point, though. This connection between sleep and your metabolism, it isn't just some vague, correlation.
Right. It's not just, oh, maybe they're related.
Exactly. As Sarah's transformation shows, there's a direct physiological relationship happening. It's not just about feeling a bit tired the next day. It's about fundamental biological processes being deeply, deeply affected.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, that's what we're zeroing in on, that direct physiological link between sleep and your metabolism.
Nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah. So if you've ever felt stuck in that cycle, dieting, exercising, but seeing no progress, maybe even gaining weight, we're going to break down step by step how your sleep habits could be a major, often overlooked factor. Our mission today is really to give you a clear understanding of exactly how sleep impacts your weight and your metabolic health.
And maybe think of it like this. Sleep is foundational. It's part of the bedrock of your overall health.
Right.
It can either be this powerful ally helping you reach your goals, or it can be this kind of silent saboteur undermining all your best efforts with diet and exercise. Understanding these hidden mechanisms is, key.
It's such a common frustration, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pouring all that effort into diet and exercise, you're really trying, and you just hit a wall.
Absolutely. It's incredibly discouraging when you're genuinely committed to making a change and nothing seems to work.
Yeah.
And this is often where insufficient sleep, or just poor quality sleep, emerges as that hidden factor, the one people just don't think about.
It's not the first thing that comes to mind, definitely.
No. Not when weight loss stalls or metabolic markers start shifting the wrong way.
And like we saw with Sarah, it creates this incredibly frustrating loop. You're tracking your food, you're pushing yourself in workouts.
Doing everything right.
And you're still not seeing results, maybe even feeling less metabolically healthy. It's enough to make you want to just give up.
And often what's fueling this frustration is that constant feeling of hunger. It's not just like a mild appetite.
No, it's like a gnawing feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This persistent gnawing sensation that just seems to linger no matter what you eat.
And the cravings. Let's be honest. It's rarely for, a stick of celery, is it?
Hardly ever.
It's those powerful, almost irresistible urges for, high-calorie, high-carb foods that seem to strike out of nowhere. And it can feel like a total lack of willpower. But Sarah's story, it suggests it's way more complex than just willpower.
Precisely. And what's really important to understand here is that this isn't some personal failing. It's not a sign of weak resolve.
Okay.
It's a direct physiological consequence. Your body just isn't getting the restorative rest it needs. Sleep deprivation fundamentally rewires the hormonal signals that control your appetite.
Okay, let's dig into those hormones then. We hear about ghrelin and leptin all the time. What's the actual hormonal havoc that not enough sleep causes?
Right. So when you're consistently sleep deprived, your body essentially goes into overdrive producing ghrelin.
Ghrelin, that's the hunger hormone, right?
That's the one. Think of it as the hormone that's basically shouting at your brain, I'm hungry, feed me, need fuel now. Okay, loud signal. Very loud. And at the same time, your levels of leptin, that's the hormone that signals satiety, tells your brain, okay, stop, you've had enough.
The fullness hormone.
Exactly. Those levels actually plummet. They go down.
Oh, wow. So it's like the body's communication system for hunger and fullness gets completely scrambled.
Totally scrambled. The eat more signal gets turned way up, while the you're satisfied signal just fades into the background.
That sounds like a recipe for overeating right there.
It absolutely is. This hormonal imbalance creates, a perfect storm. You've got amplified hunger, plus you feel less satisfied from the meals you do eat.
So even if you eat the same amount.
You won't feel as full. And those intense cravings, especially for calorie-dense foods, they become significantly more powerful. Your brain starts actively seeking out those quick energy fixes, usually sugary or fatty things.
And this isn't just like a theory, right?
Mhm.
There's actual science backing this up.
Oh, absolutely. Numerous studies have shown that even relatively short periods of sleep restriction, just a few nights, can lead people to consume several hundred extra calories per day.
Several hundred. Wow.
Yeah. And just as you pointed out, these extra calories very often come from processed foods, those readily available but often nutritionally poor snacks and meals.
Okay, so beyond just driving us to eat more calories,
hmm
does skimping on sleep affect how our bodies actually use the energy we consume? Like our metabolism itself, our resting metabolic rate, RMR.
That's a critical question. And yes, chronic sleep deprivation can indeed slow down your resting metabolic rate, your RMR.
Well,
Your RMR is basically the number of calories your body burns just keeping the lights on, maintaining essential functions when you're completely at rest.
right, just existing.
Exactly. So when your RMR decreases, you're burning fewer calories throughout the day, even when you're not doing anything physically active. So here's a key insight. Poor sleep actually makes your body less efficient at burning calories, period.
So even if your eating habits stay exactly the same, a slower metabolism makes weight gain more likely and weight loss much, much harder.
Precisely. And it gets even more specific than that. When you're consistently sleep deprived, your body becomes more inclined to store the calories you do consume as fat.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And the type of fat that tends to accumulate is particularly concerning. It's visceral fat.
The dangerous kind. Around the organs.
That's the one. The fat that builds up deep inside your abdominal area, around your vital organs. What's worrying about visceral fat is its proximity to these organs and its ability to release inflammatory substances. It's strongly linked to an increased risk of serious metabolic diseases, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular conditions.
So just to recap, it sounds like inadequate sleep undermines our weight efforts on like multiple fronts. It messes with appetite hormones.
Yep. Ghrelin up, leptin down,
It slows down our resting metabolism.
making us burn fewer calories at rest.
And it actually encourages our bodies to store more of that harmful visceral fat.
You got it. It's like a multi-pronged attack on your body's ability to regulate energy balance and maintain a healthy weight.
Wow.
And this goes way beyond just feeling tired during the day. It really represents a fundamental disruption of your body's core systems for energy regulation and storage.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about ghrelin and leptin, but you mentioned earlier that even just one bad night of sleep can throw other hormones into chaos.
Yes.
What other key hormonal players are we talking about here?
Yes, absolutely. Beyond those main appetite regulators, we really need to consider the significant impact on other crucial hormones, specifically insulin and cortisol.
Insulin and cortisol. Okay.
And here's another really key takeaway. Don't assume these hormonal imbalances are some slow, gradual process that takes years to develop.
Right. I always thought of hormonal problems as long-term things.
Many people do, but the research clearly shows that significant hormonal shifts can happen surprisingly quickly, sometimes after just 1 or 2 nights of inadequate sleep. The data shows sleep deprivation can rapidly disrupt hormonal balance.
That is genuinely eye-opening. Okay, so let's start with insulin. What's the direct link between how much we sleep or how well we sleep and how our body manages blood sugar?
Okay, insulin, as you know, it's a vital hormone made by the pancreas, and its main job is regulating blood glucose levels. Think of it like a key.
A key?
Yeah, it unlocks your cells to let glucose move from your bloodstream into the cells where it can be used for energy.
Got it.
Now, when you consistently lack sufficient sleep, your body can actually become less sensitive to insulin signals. Your cells don't respond as efficiently as they should.
So the key is there, but the lock is kind of rusty. The cells aren't opening up properly.
That's a great analogy, exactly. Because of this reduced insulin sensitivity, glucose isn't taken up into your cells effectively. It gets left hanging around in your bloodstream.
So higher blood sugar.
Right, and to compensate, your pancreas has to work harder. It starts pumping out even more insulin, trying to overcome this resistance and force the glucose into the cells to keep blood sugar stable.
That sounds exhausting for the pancreas.
Yeah.
Like a vicious cycle. The body's working harder but getting less effective.
Precisely. And if this pattern, reduced sensitivity, increased insulin production, persists long-term because of chronic poor sleep, well, it can progress to full-blown insulin resistance.
Okay.
And that condition, insulin resistance, is a major stepping stone towards prediabetes and eventually type 2 diabetes. The scientific literature draws a very clear line connecting insufficient sleep to this heightened risk.
Wow. So sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It has this direct and surprisingly fast impact on our blood sugar regulation.
Yeah.
Now, you also mentioned cortisol, the stress hormone. What's the link there?
Right, cortisol. Normally, cortisol follows a natural daily rhythm, a 24-hour cycle.
Peaks in the morning, right?
Mm.
To wake us up.
Exactly. It peaks in the morning, giving you that alertness to start the day, and then it should gradually decline throughout the day, reaching its lowest point in the evening. That helps you relax and prepare for sleep.
Makes sense.
But when you're consistently not getting enough quality sleep, this delicate rhythm gets thrown off. What we often see is elevated cortisol levels, especially in the evening when they should be nice and low.
So instead of winding down for rest, the body's still stuck in this kind of heightened stress mode.
Exactly that. And having chronically elevated cortisol has several really detrimental effects on your metabolism.
Like what?
Well, for one, it can actually worsen insulin resistance, making your cells even less responsive to insulin.
Doubling down on the problem.
Pretty much. It also actively promotes fat storage, and it seems to have a particular preference for accumulating abdominal fat, that visceral fat we talked about, with all its associated metabolic risks.
Okay.
And unfortunately, persistently high cortisol can even lead to the breakdown of muscle tissue.
Oh, that's not good. Because we know muscle is metabolically active, right?
Yeah.
It burns calories even at rest.
Precisely. So losing muscle mass further contributes to a slower overall metabolic rate.
And how fast can these cortisol changes happen? Is it also quick?
It is surprisingly quick. Studies have shown that even just a few days, literally a few days of sleep restriction in otherwise healthy people can lead to measurable increases in insulin resistance and those higher evening cortisol levels.
A few days. That's much faster than most people would ever imagine.
It really is. It underscores how sensitive these systems are to sleep disruption.
So it's not a slow decline over years.
Yeah.
Significant metabolic shifts can happen in basically a long weekend of bad sleep.
It can have an impact that quickly, yes. And the ripple effects, they don't stop there either. Lack of sleep has also been shown to increase the levels of free fatty acids circulating in your bloodstream.
And that's bad
Because those free fatty acids also contribute further to insulin resistance. It's another piece of the puzzle. Furthermore, sleep deprivation actually triggers a pro-inflammatory response throughout the body.
inflammation, like system-wide.
Yes. It elevates levels of various inflammatory markers, things you might see on a blood test sometimes.
Like C-reactive protein, maybe?
Exactly. Markers like interleukin-1 beta, interleukin-6, interleukin-17, and C-reactive protein, or CRP. When these inflammatory markers are chronically elevated, they can further promote insulin resistance and contribute to other metabolic problems.
Is there long-term evidence for this inflammation link?
Yes, the Whitehall 2 study, for instance, provided really compelling long-term data. It showed that even a relatively small reduction in average sleep duration, like an hour less per night on average, was associated with higher levels of CRP and IL 6 years down the line.
Wow. So it's not just the immediate hormonal shifts, but also this longer-term inflammatory consequence simmering away?
Correct. And just to add one more layer to this rather complex picture, experimental sleep restriction has also been shown to raise blood pressure.
Raise blood pressure. How?
Particularly nocturnal blood pressure during the night. Normally, your blood pressure takes a healthy dip while you sleep, which is really important for cardiovascular health.
Right. Gives the system a rest.
Exactly. But lack of sufficient sleep can blunt that natural dip. Your blood pressure stays higher overnight than it should. This might be due to those elevated cortisol levels we discussed and possibly an increase in other stress hormones called catecholamines.
Okay, so the silent sabotage of poor sleep really is this incredibly intricate web. It's all connected. Impaired blood sugar control, elevated stress hormones, more inflammation, even effects on blood pressure.
Precisely. These aren't isolated little issues. They are deeply interconnected physiological responses that fundamentally reshape your entire metabolic landscape. And if these patterns persist because of chronic insufficient sleep, they significantly pave the way towards developing those more serious chronic metabolic diseases, diabetes, heart disease that we really want to avoid.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty clear, maybe slightly scary picture
Yeah.
of the metabolic mess that happens when sleep goes wrong. But let's flip this. Let's talk about the positive side. What does the after look like? If someone listening starts to really prioritize sleep, what kind of good things can they expect?
Right, the after, it's a state of feeling genuinely refreshed, really energized. Those relentless cravings start to naturally fade away, and you get this tangible sense that your body is just operating more efficiently, smoother.
That sounds pretty good.
It does. And the encouraging news is that there's robust scientific evidence strongly supporting the idea that this is absolutely achievable. You can get there by making sleep a genuine priority.
So it's not just wishful thinking. We can actually kickstart a metabolic reset just by focusing on getting better sleep.
Absolutely. And it's really important to emphasize that metabolic disruption isn't necessarily permanent. Reversing these negative trends often doesn't require drastic or extreme measures.
Like Sarah's story showed.
Exactly. As we saw with Sarah, making targeted improvements in your sleep habits can lead to surprisingly rapid and significant positive changes in your metabolic health.
So what's the absolute foundation, the starting point for this metabolic reset, powered by sleep?
Okay, the bedrock is consistent and adequate sleep. The National Sleep Foundation recommends most adults aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. That's kind of the sweet spot for optimal overall health, and it's absolutely fundamental for maintaining a healthy metabolism.
7 to 9 hours. And consistently getting less than 6 is where the problems really start.
Generally, yes. Consistently getting less than 6 hours is widely recognized as being detrimental to metabolic function. The risks really start to climb then.
Okay, so 7 to 9 hours is the target range. But it's probably not just about the sheer number of hours, right? Quality and consistency must matter just as much.
You're absolutely correct. Sleep plays this crucial role in maintaining overall bodily homeostasis, keeping everything in balance. It regulates a huge array of physiological, hormonal, psychological processes.
Right.
So to really unlock its metabolic benefits, establishing a regular, consistent sleep schedule is paramount. That means trying your best to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day.
Even on weekends. Ugh.
Even on weekends, as much as possible. It really helps regulate your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm. There's a saying that having a fixed wake time really helps build a strong drive for sleep throughout your waking hours.
That makes sense, like training your body. What about the actual bedroom environment? Does that make a big difference to sleep quality and therefore metabolism?
Oh, absolutely. Creating an optimal sleep environment is crucial, but it's often underestimated.
Yeah.
Ideally, your bedroom should be dark, cool, and quiet.
Dark, cool, quiet. Got it.
Simple things like blackout curtains, maybe earplugs if there's noise, or even a white noise machine can make a significant difference. And of course, what you do in the hours before bed matters too.
Like avoiding certain things.
Definitely. Avoiding heavy meals right before bed, also stimulants, caffeine, obviously, but nicotine too close to when you plan to sleep. That's highly recommended.
And screens, phones, tablets.
Yes, the blue light issue. It's definitely beneficial to try and put away electronic devices, smartphones, tablets, computers, for at least an hour before bed. That blue light they emit can suppress melatonin production.
Melatonin, the sleep hormone.
Exactly, the hormone essential for regulating sleep. So, yeah, implementing these kinds of evidence-based sleep hygiene tips can significantly boost your sleep quality and really help kickstart that metabolic reset.
Okay, so setting the stage for sleep is key.
Yeah.
What about diet? Can specific food choices help support better sleep and also improve metabolism directly?
Yes, they can certainly be supportive pieces of the puzzle. For some people, magnesium supplementation might help with muscle relaxation and improve sleep quality, which then indirectly supports metabolic health.
Okay.
Engaging in short bursts of high-intensity exercise can also be great. It can boost metabolism and potentially enhance sleep too. But generally, avoid really intense workouts too close to bedtime that can backfire.
Right. Don't want to be wired before trying to sleep.
Exactly. And interestingly, there's also some emerging research looking at things like green tea or oolong tea. They might positively influence the gut microbiome.
Bed connection again.
Right. Which could then have downstream effects on how your body processes and breaks down fats. Still early days on some of that, but interesting connections.
Okay, so let's say someone starts doing these things. They prioritize consistent quality sleep. They tweak their diet supportively, maybe add some magnesium or adjust their workouts. What are the tangible, positive metabolic changes they can realistically expect to see happening inside their body?
Well, as you consistently improve your sleep, those hormonal imbalances we talked about earlier start to naturally correct themselves. Levels of ghrelin and leptin hunger and satiety begin to normalize.
So fewer crazy cravings,
Yep.
feeling fuller after meals.
Exactly. A natural reduction in those unhealthy cravings and an improved sense of fullness after eating. Crucially, insulin sensitivity often improves. Your cells start responding better to insulin signals.
Which means better blood sugar control.
Much better blood sugar control. And your cortisol patterns tend to regulate too, falling back into that natural daily rhythm. This helps reduce those chronic stress signals that wreak havoc on metabolism.
Is there research showing these improvements actually happen when people sleep better?
Oh, definitely. Numerous studies consistently show that improving sleep quality and duration leads directly to these significant metabolic benefits. For instance, studies from 2019 and 2021 found a clear, significant link between better overall sleep health and greater weight loss and fat loss in adults who are overweight or obese.
So it really does circle back to making these seemingly simple but consistent changes in our daily habits. And they can have a profound and pretty quick impact on our metabolism.
Exactly. Prioritizing that consistent 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night, especially when you combine it with a supportive whole foods diet and regular, moderate physical activity, that truly lays the essential groundwork
Groundwork for what?
for renewed energy levels, for more effortless weight management, and for significantly improved overall metabolic function. This isn't about some quick fix or a crazy restrictive fad diet.
It's a lifestyle shift.
It's about building a sustainable, health-promoting lifestyle where sleep is recognized as a fundamental pillar of your well-being. It sits right alongside nutrition and exercise for long-term vitality.
Sarah's journey really brings it all home, doesn't it? Someone doing everything right by conventional standards, diet, exercise, but stuck, until she fixed her sleep.
Absolutely.
It just highlights that restorative sleep isn't optional. It's fundamental. It's not just about extreme diets or workouts.
It truly isn't. And I think the shocking truth for many people is realizing just how profoundly their daily sleep habits are dictating their metabolic destiny. Often it's happening completely under the radar, beneath their conscious awareness.
And it's so incredibly common, that statistic. Over 40% of adults report sleeping 6 hours or less per night.
40%. That's a huge number.
Yeah, a huge chunk of the population potentially struggling with their metabolism, maybe their weight, their energy, without even realizing the massive role sleep is playing.
It is a pervasive issue. And that's precisely why understanding this fundamental connection is just so incredibly vital for everyone's health and well-being.
So for anyone listening right now who might be feeling a bit stuck, maybe recognizing themselves in Sarah's story, what's one clear, actionable first step they could take, like tonight, to start using sleep power?
That's a great question. I'd suggest choosing just one small, really manageable change to implement tonight. Don't try to overhaul everything at once.
Okay, like what?
Maybe it's just dimming the lights in your home an hour earlier than you usually do. Or perhaps it's setting a specific bedtime for yourself, just putting it in your calendar and making a conscious effort to actually stick to it tonight. Even these seemingly small steps can begin to make a significant difference over time.
Start small, build momentum.
Exactly.
And it is encouraging to remember, isn't it, that our bodies have this amazing innate capacity to rebalance and heal. We just need to consistently give them what they need.
Right.
And sufficient high-quality sleep is clearly a non-negotiable part of that equation.
Absolutely. It's about supporting those natural regulatory systems that are already built into us. We just need to give them a chance to work properly.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful, a real deep dive into this crucial link between sleep and metabolism. Thank you so much for shedding so much light on it.
My pleasure. It's a topic that genuinely impacts every single aspect of our health, so I'm really glad we could explore it in detail together.
We'd love to hear from you listening. Share this deep dive with anyone you think might find it helpful. And please let us know in the comments what's one sleep-promoting habit you're thinking of trying first. Thanks so much for joining us. See you soon.